All right, let's verify another trig identity. Now, I look at this, okay, so my rule of thumb is that I want to start with the most complicated side. Now, I don't really know which one is the most complicated. I don't know. Um, I really could start with either side. Cardinal rule of verifying identities is don't just sit there and stare at it. Do something. Do something. Try something. That's all you can really do. Is just try something. If it doesn't work, then try something else. All right. So sometimes you might go down a rabbit hole, and then you have to just start over. And if it's not working out, but I'm first of all, I'm gonna actually do this two different ways because I could really start on either side here. There's no clear winner as far as which one's more complicated. But I'm first of all just gonna start with the left hand side. All right. So I've got this whole thing 1 plus sine over cosine. So, well, I know I can see I have a secant over here. I have a secant and I have a tangent. So, well, what if I just divided the whole numerator by cosine, right? So then this is equivalent to 1 over cosine of theta plus sine of theta over cosine, cosine of theta, cosine of theta. All right, and we're asking, is that equal to secant? Secant of theta plus tangent of theta? Well, it's kind of clear now. if you know your reciprocal identities and you know those quotient identities, you know that 1 over cosine is secant of theta, and you know that sine over cosine is tangent of theta, and that is equal to secant of theta plus tangent of theta. Okay. So that's it. I'm done. QED. Now, what if I had decided to start with the right-hand side instead of the left-hand side? So I'm going to do it that way as well. So I'm just going to rewrite the left-hand side as it is. And I'm going to work now on the right-hand side instead. So this is just a different approach just to show you that you can really start with either side. It's not always, you're not always going to be working on the left-hand side. You might work on the right-hand side. Because I know I can rewrite secant in terms of cosine, and I can write tangent in terms of sine and cosine. So secant is 1 over cosine of theta, right? And tangent is sine of theta over cosine of theta. Okay, so I'm just rewriting everything in terms of sine and cosine. And then I see I have a common denominator, right? So, and again, I'm asking, is this true? So then I can see, well, if I have a common denominator, then I can add the numerators. And so I get 1 plus sine of theta all over cosine of theta. Okay, is that equal to 1 plus sine of theta over cosine of theta? Well, yep, pretty obvious now that that's true. So QED. Okay, so the point of that exercise is really I can start with either side. I can work on either side. I just can't cross over and work on both sides at once. Okay, I want to work on one side or the other and not both. Don't ever work on both. Not when you're trying to prove an identity, because if you say, multiply both sides by something or subtract something from both sides, then you're assuming that equal sign is true, and that's what we're trying to prove. So we can't assume that it's true from the beginning. All right. So I will meet you in the next example.